Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad to welcome you as part of our community tonight. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and distributed live stream. By entering this virtual meeting room, you give your consent to be recorded and distributed by Vienna Live with Simeon Moore and other third parties. If you wish to not be recorded, please go to the LinkedIn Live video feed, link to which I have just placed in the chat room. Tonight, our featured guest is composer Chien-Yu Huang, whose new album, White Clouds and Gray Dogs, Echoes in Flux, will be the subject of tonight's conversation. Welcome, Chien-Yu.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Simeon, to invite me to this show. It's my honor to be here and share some idea behind my album and my career.
Chien-Yu, so tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from, how your musical tastes were formed, and the moment you decided to become a professional composer.
Sure. I'm Chien-Yu. I'm from Taiwan. After finishing my undergraduate study there, I came to the United States for graduate school. I received my master's degree from the New England Conservatory in 2008, and later earned my PhD in composition from UCLA in 2014. I started studying music seriously when I entered a music program in junior high school. My training was very much rooted in Western classical music. I first studied piano, then violin around 5 years old. And then when I was around 18, I began studying composition. Eventually, I entered National Taiwan Normal University as a composition major. Even though I had been studying classical music for many years, I think it wasn't until my third year in college that I truly realized how much I love composing and that I wanted to continue pursuing it professionally and study abroad. Around 20 years ago, classical music education in Taiwan was still very traditional, and there were not many opportunities in applied music or film music. But I personally love films and video games very much, so I always had this dream of learning more about film scoring and media music. That was actually one of the reasons I chose UCLA for my doctoral studies, because the university has such a strong connection to film and the entertainment industry. After studying there, I also began to have opportunities to work on music for film, visual media, and theater. Right now, besides teaching full-time at a university in Taiwan, I continue to work as a freelance composer. I write for orchestras, chamber ensembles, solo performance, and in recent years, I have also completed several projects for film, television, and theater.
Okay, let's have a listen to our next track from the album. This is Reminiscence and Afterglow.
I think this is the continuing part of the first track.
Oh, I apologize. Oh, there's Reminiscence and
it's fine.
Afterglow. Here we
It's
go.
fine.
Reminiscence
Yeah.
and Afterglow. Lovely. So, Shen, you tell us a little bit about this album, this debut album, I believe, a debut album of your chamber music. It sounds very, very like an ambient music. I can imagine it going very well with the film. How did you compose this music? Why did you decide to make this album?
Yes, the title White Clouds and Gray Dogs come from an old Chinese saying. It's often used to describe how quickly things in life can change, like clouds in the sky constantly shifting shape and transforming before our eyes. I chose this title because I feel my musical interests and the creative direction are also very broad and constantly evolving. I've never wanted to limit myself to only one musical language or style. Although my background comes from classical and academic music training, I've always been interested in exploring many different kinds of music and artistic expression. In Taiwan, contemporary classical music education has traditionally been more focused on experimental and avant-garde styles, while in the United States, I encountered a much more diverse musical environment, where classical music could also interact with jazz, popular music, film music, and many other influences. I realized I was much more drawn to that kind of openness and stylistic diversity. So, for me, this album title represents the idea of transformation, flexibility, and the desire to bring together many different musical elements and creative approaches into one artistic voice.
Okay, let's have listen to our next track. This is Airflow. Wow, so that is pretty virtuosic. That's a lot different than what we heard before. How did you choose the album, choose the musicians you wanted to play on this album? What do you look for in a musician? You mentioned before that when you got to Los Angeles, the music styles, styles of composition were so different, many different kinds of styles, really various. Did you so these were all musicians you hired in Taiwan, I believe. Were they able to, it sounds like they were able to get to that level that you were looking for.
Yeah. Strictly speaking, the five works on this album were not originally written for an album project. Most of them were commissioned pieces or works written for specific performances and occasions. In the past, it was very common for composers' commission work to be performed once or twice in concert, and then disappear for many years before being played again. Sometimes even for over a decade. A few years ago, however, I started feeling that I wanted to give my works a more lasting form and a better continuation beyond the concert stage. So after several performances in 2023 and 2024, including a revised version of one older piece, I invited the same musicians from the premieres into the recording studios to record the works. Then one day after the post-production process was completed, Christina from Palma Recordings contacted me and asked whether I had ever considered releasing an album. That conversation eventually led to this project becoming my first commercial album release. So actually, the musicians on this album were all performed who had already premiered these works in concert. Um, some of them are professors from my university, while others are musicians or ensemble who had originally commissioned the piece. For me, the most important thing is sincerity. Sincerity. I really appreciate the musicians who can genuinely communicate the emotion of the music.
Okay, let's have a listen to our next track. This is Tainan 400. How exciting. And this brings us to the philosophical part of our conversation. Quote, Tainan 400 was written for the 400th anniversary of Tainan, the earliest cradle of civilization in Taiwan. The work seeks to distill the city's long-woven stories into the span of a single musical work, at times solemn and dignified, at times playful and spirited, and occasionally touched by the nostalgic romance unique to this ancient city. Though the music may be brief, I hope it conveys emotions that resonate far beyond its duration, honoring Tainan's past while opening a window toward the beautiful possibilities of its future. End quote. Chien-Yu, you have lived and worked as a musician in Taiwan and the United States. Is chamber music in Taiwan also an elite art form, usually performed by and for a small group of people? If so, how can your Tainan 400 reach the broad audience you want it to?
Yes, yes. I think chamber music and the contemporary classical music in Taiwan are still relatively small and specialized, just like in many other countries. But at the same time, I believe music can still emotionally connect with people, even if they don't have formal musical training. Tainan 400 was written for the 400th anniversary of Tainan, which is the oldest city in Taiwan and often considered one of the cultural origins of the island. After moving to Tainan and living there for several years, I gradually developed a deep emotional connection to this city. I became very touched by its slower pace of life, historical atmosphere, warmth, and the unique blend of tradition and everyday culture. In this piece, I try to capture some of those impression and emotion through music. Sometimes the music feels sudden and reflective, sometimes playful and energetic, and sometimes nostalgia and romantic. So even if listeners are not familiar with chamber music or contemporary classical music, I still hope they can emotionally connect with the atmosphere and the humanity inside the music. For me, emotional connection is always more important than musical background or technical knowledge.
Okay, let's have a listen to our final track. This is Paradise Gold Coast. Lovely. Does anybody have any questions? There's applause all around from our participants. Would anyone like to ask any questions or give any feedback? Okay. So then, oh,
There
Dr.
you
Davis would.
go.
Hi, Dr. Davis.
Yeah, I finally got it unmuted. Sorry, it takes me a problem with this darn computer. Very nice. Chien-Yu Huang. Is that the way you pronounce your name, sir?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Very, very nice. I've never been to Taiwan. What I used to call Formosa when I was a kid. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
You remember
I,
that
I,
name? But your
yeah, I
music
think it's
is
an old name from the Holland, right? Netherlands, Formosa.
Formosa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, a beautiful name.
I can't remember, but when I was a kid, and that's 90 years ago, there used to be some sort of interesting show on the radio in reference to Formosa. I cannot remember that at all, but
Oh,
nevertheless, your music is very nice. It's well done. Go outside. Tell people to go outside and look up at the sky and watch the clouds going by, and they'll hear your music. It's extremely good. Keep up the good work, young man.
thank you so much. I will. I will do my best.
Thanks, Dr. Davis.
You're
So,
welcome.
last
Thank you.
question to me then. What would you like all of us to experience when we listen to this album? What would you like us to take away, Shen?
Yeah. I hope listener can hear the stories and the emotions I'm trying to express through the music. This works reflects many different things that are important to me. My love for the place where I grew up, my feelings towards nature and landscapes, and also my imagination and reflections on politics, conflict, and the war. I think composing music is in some ways similar to writing literature. As artists, we respond to world around us, to what we see, experience, and feel in everyday life. But music is also very personal and intimate. Unlike words, it can be much more abstract, open, and imaginative. More than anything, I hope the music can emotionally move people in some way, whether that feeling is joy, sadness, curiosity, nostalgia, or even fear. If the music can create some kind of emotionally connection or leave something meaningful in the listener's heart, then I feel the music has truly done its job.
Okay, perfect. Let's see how we can buy the album. It's on Navona Records at navonarecords.com. And to get there, all we do is when you go to navonarecords.com, then you just put in Chien-Yu Huang, and then it should come right up there. It says profile page, and there's the album, White Clouds and Gray Dogs, Echoes and Flux, and you can stream it, buy it here. You can watch it on YouTube. Have all the information about those lovely tracks and information about the performers. So that's navonarecords.com. And the album name is White Clouds and Gray Dogs, Echoes and Flux. And if we'd like to stay in touch with Shen-Yu, that's easy enough. It's at Chien-Yu Huang, allconnected.com. And people can reach out to you under contact. Is that right, Shen-Yu?
Yes, correct. That's my website.
Perfect. So feel free to
Yeah,
reach out to Shen-Yu if you have any questions or want to know more about his work. Again, it's
yeah.
shenyuhuang.com. Thank you so very much to Chien-Yu Huang.
Thank you so much, Simeon, to invite me to your show. Yeah, it's my honor to be here and share idea with Jeremy too. Thank you so much.
And before we go, I'd like to bring you to simeonmore.com where you can find all information about upcoming shows. And while you're there, I'd like to bring your attention to our sponsorship campaign that we have going on. For $5 a month, you will receive one Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug. For $10 a month, you will receive one Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug and one Vienna Live City tote bag. There is also no minimum sponsorship if you click under one-time payment custom. All sponsorships ensure that Vienna Live can continue to operate as a free public classical music service. And again, all information about upcoming shows is available at simeonmoro.com. Once again, thank you so very much to Chien-Yu Huang. Thank you to Vienna Live's corporate and individual sponsors. Your ongoing support allows Vienna Live to continue to operate as a free public music service. Thanks very much to my cousin Mike, a marketer from Layer App. If you're an architect or an engineer, they have a really cool tool you should check out. And of course, most of all, thanks to you, our participants who make it all worthwhile from Tainan, Taiwan, and Washington, D.C., USA. Goodbye, and see you next Wednesday.
Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you.